Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's Sarcasm Speaks, Jared and Bob. Um, so I was gonna put this as my final thought, um, but I'm just gonna open up with it, and I'll come up with a different final thought. Um, so you sent this to our Twitter group the other day, me, you, Jones, and Vinny, um, about the tickets to the Ryder Cup for next year. So quick little background for anyone that doesn't know. I mean, if you've been listening to the show long enough, I would assume you know what the Ryder Cup is, but who knows? Maybe you're new. Um, Ryder Cup is every other year. It's a golf event between the United States and Europe. It's arguably one of the biggest events in golf when it happens in the calendar year, right? It's just everything kind of goes out the window and it's Ryder Cup time and it's a different kind of golf. It's for anyone that's familiar, it's probably closer to live golf than than PGA golf just because the crowds are wild. People are chucking beers. It's more like fuck, what is it? I was just gonna call it TPC Phoenix, but it's not. What's the
Dale.
Scottsdale? TPC Scottsdale. It's like just a giant party. People are rowdy. The golfers are not as reserved as they usually are. They're like yelling at each other. You know, we almost got a fist fight between Joey LaCava and Rory McIlroy last year. So it's a big event, right? Every other year it happens, right? And then it rotates between the United States and Europe. So every 4 years, it's in the United States. This upcoming year, 2025, it's being held at Bethpage Black, which is on Long Island in New York, which, if you know about us, obviously we're based in New England. It's pretty fucking close, right? It's probably the best opportunity that we would ever have to go to a Ryder Cup. The other closest spot, I don't even know. Would they play at Congressional in Maryland?
Um, I don't know if they would play Congressional. I don't know if they're coming back to the Country Club. I would think no.
Yeah.
Um, so then yeah, I mean New England's obviously just like not really like a good place
It's not a good spot for golf, right? I mean,
for
it
professional golf.
for professional golf. Yeah, let me clarify. It's not a good spot for professional golf. It's a pretty good spot for recreational golf. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is the best opportunity that we would have to go to a Ryder Cup, right? Um, Also, they have the schedule booked out for however many years. So, I mean, so obviously 2027 is going to be in Europe. So you'd be looking at 2029. And I think they'll,
Hazeltine, Hazeltine, and then San Francisco the next two.
yeah,
Hazeltine
and
is in
Hazeltine is North
Minnesota.
Carolina. Oh, Minnesota. All
Minnesota.
right. So, yeah, so 29 would be Minnesota, and then 33 would be San
San
Francisco.
Francisco, it's probably Olympic. I already got off the page, but
Yeah. So then you would be looking at 2037 would be the next time that the Ryder Cup would be in the US. Um, and just again, what are the odds? So I was really looking forward to it. I was, ready to spend money to go to this. However, right, if you haven't figured out in the first 5 minutes of my diatribe here, speaking in the past tense and saying was and would have and all this, I would have spent a good amount of money to go there. I will not spend the amount of money that it is going to actually require to go there next year. So, in order to go on Thursday through Sunday, and I think Thursday is cheaper, but so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, $750 per ticket per person just to get in the door. 750 bucks to get to Bethpage Black. Insane. I think the Thursday tickets were 500, which That's like right on the cusp. Like I would have been willing to spend I would have been willing to spend up to $350 on a ticket to get in. And they doubled that on me. They more than doubled that on me at 750. And it's one of those where like the Thursday ticket, if it's like 450 or whatever it is, like that's just a little bit more than I would have wanted to spend. And also it's a Thursday, right? So then you got to take work off. And then I'm also probably gonna take work off Friday, right? Because like I'm not gonna go into work the day after I go to this thing. So $750 just to get in the door, right? So again, we live in New England, we're close enough. However, we still need to travel to Long Island. So you're looking at your options are either drive to Bridgeport, get on a ferry over to Port Jefferson, and then drive to Bethpage, which isn't very close to Port Jefferson, where the ferry lets you off. Which, so again, you're looking at gas and time and travel. And then I think the ferry with a car is like $120 one way to get over. So you're looking at round trip on a ferry is like $240 on top of a $750 ticket. You're looking at $1,000 before you even walk in the door.
You didn't even include a. So did this imply what you don't stay the night either?
That's implying you don't stay the night and you make it a day trip. If
Oh
you make it a day
shit.
trip. So then the other option would say, okay, well, maybe I don't want to drive and then maybe I don't want to spend that money for a ferry. Okay, let's do this other option. For me, because I live near Rhode Island, it's pretty easy for me to drive to Providence, hop on the Amtrak, and take the train to Bridgeport. It's $40, right? So it's $40 for me to take a train from Providence to Bridgeport. Okay, well, now I still need to take a ferry, which is $70 when you don't have a car. So what's that? 70 and 40 is $110. So that's one way again. So make that a round trip. That's $220. So that's again pretty close to $1,000, right? So it is somewhat cheaper. Oh, but yeah, but then you need to take an Uber. So then you need to take an Uber from Port Jefferson over to Bethpage. So it actually is probably cheaper just to drive and pay the money for the ferry and take your own car. Because then you can probably split the ferry ticket with some, you know what I mean? Like fill your car and split the ticket. I think they do charge you ahead, but you can split the charge for like a car, right? So if it's like $60 a person and then $60 for a car, right? And you bring four people, then you each effectively pay, whatever, $75 for a ticket instead of whatever. So again, you're looking at $1,000 before you walk in the door, assuming you just make it a day trip, assuming you don't stay and get a hotel. That's absurd. That is, it's retarded. That's the only way I can think of it. And the tweet that you sent us, I don't have it up in front of me, so I'm going to paraphrase it, but it was a great point because it showed the ticket prices and they say, and the tweet goes something like after the piss poor showing in Italy, if we get back to Bethpage and we get a crowd like LACC because we've excluded the real fans, we've priced out the real fans, that's a big own goal. And we get our asses whooped by Europe again because real golf fans can't afford to get to Bethpage, which I wholeheartedly agree with because I would have loved, I would have stretched and I would have spent five, maybe $600, right? Like I would have hemmed and hawed and immediately I would have bitched and moaned. But then maybe by like December or no January, whatever, I would have been like, you know what? Fuck it. I really want to go. I'll spend the $500 to go. I'm not going to spend 750, which is eventually going to equate to 1,000, right? If you don't stay. So I guess I can scratch fucking the Ryder Cup off my bucket list of things that I want to do because it's not happening.
So if you remember, I think after they got their asses kicked in Rome and we moved on to Bethpage, I think you actually probably texted me and was like, "Hey, what do you think about going?" And I'm like, "I'm out." And my reasoning was, I'm not interested in seeing Bethpage. I'd be interested in playing Bethpage.
Right.
Now, this is obviously just through text, right? This isn't a full-on conversation.
Right.
So here are some other things. If I'm going to go to an event like that, I would like to enjoy myself. Enjoying myself means I'm probably going to be doing some drinking. Well,
Yeah.
that means I got to stay the night.
Right.
So I don't know what the hotel situation is on Long Island. It's a state park. Usually, state park means there isn't a lot of hotels and things like that.
Leo's going to share his opinion.
Yeah, Leo's here. Um, that's the thing. I would like to stay. So now we're
I
talking
would
what, a
too.
thousand
Yeah.
bucks a night for a hotel?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
What's
wouldn't
a
be
hotel room going
surprised.
to cost? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, so I this and what I'm about to say is factual. It's not even a fucking estimation. Georgia's playing Texas this week in Austin.
Yeah.
The Best Western's 500 bucks a night. I'm sorry, the Motel 6 is 500 bucks a night
Yeah.
because my employee was looking. She was trying to switch plans. She goes, I can't afford 2 grand for 4 days. I'm like, what the fuck is happening in Austin? Oh, Georgia's coming to town.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long Island's going to be busier than Austin, Texas for the Ryder Cup. So,
And
and it's
Long
in New
Island's
York,
already
not in
way more
Texas.
expensive. Yeah.
So I don't know, even call it call it just another 750 to stay the night.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you can cut that up amongst people, fine, but like, where are we staying? How far away is it? Because this was my other thing. Everyone says when there's a U.S. Open at Shinnecock, you cannot move on Long Island. You can't drive. You can't get Ubers. You can't move. You're
Right.
fucking stuck.
Right.
Wherever you are, you're fucking stuck there. So that's the other thing is like, oh, just take the ferry and hop in an Uber. It's like, I don't know if that's even fucking like feasible.
Yeah.
No, I'm not there, and I can only go off what they report when they report it. Like, there's only one way in, one way out. So, and where Bethpage is, it's almost like hard to relieve because anyone that's on Long Island is moving towards Bethpage, and anyone from the city is also moving towards Bethpage. So you're getting it both
Right.
ways. Um, and then it's just like for my own enjoyment. Well, okay, so let me also just go with what's the worst way to watch golf that we've talked about?
In person.
Live in person. So you're
Yeah.
not going for golf, which
No. So my
you're
thing,
going for like
I
the
wanted the
idea
Ryder
of,
Cup atmosphere. I wanted to be
yeah,
there for that insanity, right? Like chucking beers, doing whatever you got to like screaming, yelling at guys. Like it's just fun, right? Like
right.
cheering guys on. Like it's an experience.
So let's think logistically of that.
Yeah.
That means you can't go Thursday because Thursday, it's not the weekend. It's not fun. Wait,
Right.
they don't even play Thursday. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so Thursday's out. So Friday, Friday morning, ain't nobody doing anything on the first tee.
Right.
So they're not doing shit there. Friday afternoon, okay. So
The other,
now we're
yeah,
talking
go.
Friday afternoon. Okay. Guess what Friday afternoon means? If you want to be there for the experience and you want to be there for everything that the Ryder Cup is, and it's not the golf, which I agree with. I am with you, dude.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Drinking, staying. How the fuck are you gonna get out of there and get
Right.
to your ferry and get fucking home? Because I'm guessing there's not a fucking 2 a.m. ferry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There
then it's
probably
like,
isn't.
no. So it's like logistically, it's a fucking nightmare
Yeah.
because
So the other thing I just thought of too is the crowd itself is going to
huge.
be unbelievable
Oh yeah,
because
I didn't even
it's
get
a
to that.
tiny ass field.
Yeah.
It's literally 14
So
guys.
this is why.
Or
So the worst
20,
way to watch
28.
golf is
But
live in person. It's the worst way to
yeah.
watch golf. And now, where normally you would have anywhere from 70 to 150 guys on the course, like almost all day, you have 8 guys on the course. Nope.
Yeah.
You have foursomes, 16 guys on the course. 16. It's 4 groups.
Yeah.
So, other problems. You want to park yourself on 18, but 18, great hole, great finishing hole. Most matches don't go to 18. Most
Right.
matches don't go to 16, 17, or 18. So now you can take 3 holes out of the equation. So there's the first tee atmosphere, maybe 14,
Yeah.
like 14, 15. That's where most of the matches are going to end.
Right.
Um, and then you like because of how many people are going to be there, it'll be like a million people or something. Like you're not gonna be able to like walk and follow. Like you got to get ahead, so it's like you're gonna get ahead, but like, what are you doing? And then for me, it's like I go to these things and it's like the atmosphere, yeah, but I also want to see the place. So it's like I got to walk the
Right.
whole course. Fine, I'll do that like in the morning. That's not hard for me. But it becomes an all day thing. And
Right.
that's why it's like in my opinion, it's not feasible to take the ferry and leave the same day. Or
Right.
it's so that's my opinion.
It's a
It's very
huge,
possible.
it's
It's
possible, but it's a massive pain in the ass and you're
it's
not going
very
to enjoy
possible. And
yourself
you're not going to enjoy
because
yourself. So why would I
you're
want
going
to
to
do
have
that?
to leave at a time that you
You don't
need to
want
in
to.
order to make the ferry. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to get there at times you don't want to get there. You have to hope
Right.
you're fucking relying on Ubers, and it's like good fucking luck because
Right.
that Uber don't come. I don't know what you do,
Right.
or if that Uber can't get to you, or you can't get to the like whatever.
Right.
That's the other thing is like the shuttle situation. Like you might have to shuttle back towards the city to get in an Uber to go back the other way to the ferry.
It would almost be better to just charter Jamie
Just fucking
for the
walk.
day. Be like, hey, Jamie, I'll pay you $300 to float us down to or what do you how do you say you float us? You drive us?
Load
You don't
us.
drive on the water. You don't drive a boat.
Water
I don't
taxi.
know. Yeah, what yeah, you'll water taxi us down to Bethpage and we'll sleep on Jamie's boat.
Yeah. So I mean, that was always my problem with going is it's just a disaster. Like it's not at Liberty National where it's outside the city. Yeah, it's in Jersey, but it's like in society.
Right.
It's just far enough away, but also not all the way into Long Island. Like it's just
Yeah.
it was
And
a
honestly,
mess.
it would probably be easier and cheaper to go to Hazeltine.
It might be. I don't know where Chaska, Minnesota is.
Can't imagine it's anywhere that people actually want to go, especially in
Yeah.
September. Like Minnesota in September, it's not warm. You might get one day where it's 70 degrees.
Jesus Christ. It is in the middle of fucking
Was
nowhere.
the nearest airport like 3 hours away?
That's a fucking sick question. It might be Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Does Minnesota not have fucking cities? Duluth?
St.
What's
Paul?
Minnesota's like real city? St. Paul. You have to be able to
Yeah.
fly into St. Paul.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is St. Paul though?
I think it's on the lake, whatever lake is, whichever one of the Great Lakes is over there.
Superior. It's not a good sign when I pull up Google Maps to like look at a place and the fucking capital cities don't show up.
Oh no, Minnesota
It's
is
Minneapolis. It's just outside Minneapolis. It wasn't popping up.
yeah. Minnesota is inland. Sorry, Wisconsin is the one that's on the lake.
Okay, so it's okay, so you can fly in. It's relatively in the same area as Minneapolis and the Mall of America. So like that's like society. I don't know why the map looked like that.
What was it called? Chuckska?
Pasca.
Casca? Oh yeah. Yeah, a little suburb outside of Minneapolis.
Yeah, I don't know how far that is, but anyway, yeah, that's like at least there's like roads and stuff. Um, but again, I'm not going to that either because I have no interest in the golf course and um the Ryder Cup's that's a tough in-person event.
Yeah.
It's really hard, so no, I obviously don't feel as strongly either, but
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, it's just one of those like, yeah, I wanted to go for the atmosphere and more so the convenience, right? It was literally, it's Long Island. Long Island is not far. It's not hard to get to under normal circumstances. But it becomes a logistical nightmare when you add this in, and then you just priced out almost everyone. Like the amount of people that are going to go to this, like you're looking at, probably close to $2,000 if you're going to stay. And that's not on beer and food and merch. And that's per person, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you can split the hotel, so it would come down a little bit, but you're looking at a rough cost per person for everything is close to 2 grand, right around 2 grand
yeah,
for
I guess
one day.
though the only thing that's I guess the only thing that I think some people are not acknowledging is number one, this is in New York. This is not in Iowa. This is not in Alaska, Minnesota. Like I think some people have lost sight of that. People in New York will pay that. They'll pay 750. If you also think about where certain people hold this event, like a bucket list event, well, other bucket list events are the Super Bowl, the Masters. Um, I don't want to
And that's
get
kind of it.
I don't want to
It's
get international. Like I don't
it's
want to
really
say like
just
the
the
World
Super
Cup
Bowl,
because
Super
the
Bowl, the Masters, and the Ryder Cup. I mean, the World Series, maybe, but like that's
World Series is hard because
so
it's regional.
exactly. That's what I mean. Like it's not a national thing, it's a regional thing.
Indy 500, no.
Daytona.
Probably Daytona, Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, that's a good one. Kentucky Derby.
What would be a bit? Am I missing one of the bigger races? No, it's Daytona. Daytona's the huge one. It's in February.
Yeah. Yeah.
WrestleMania for those that do.
Maybe, I mean, not for me, but for the general public, maybe the US Open, like the tennis US Open.
Yeah, could be. Um, but the only problem is like I don't think Ryder Cup is up there with Kentucky Derby, the Master. Well, that's because the Masters is up there, but the Super Bowl,
Right.
like I don't think I think that's more along the lines of like Belmont and the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like second tier.
Right. The Talladega 500.
Right, right, right. Like cool events, but there is a better event in the same sport.
Right.
Thus, 750 a ticket really isn't that bad. I'm not paying it,
Right. Yeah. I'm not paying it.
but and like it's the same issues with all these things. So it's like New Yorkers and Long Islanders are going to be there.
Yeah. And I guess my thing too is there's a little bit of relativity involved. Right. So, like, New York is so close to us that in my mind, spending $2,000 for a 1 day event doesn't make any sense. But if we flew to Phoenix, right, to go to the the waste management, right, and drive over to Scottsdale, and that was $2,000, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I have to fly across the country and get a hotel and a rental car and all that stuff. Like it's $2,000, but like, yeah, what did you expect, right? Like I got to fly across the country to go to this event, right?
That's the
And
thing.
like with that
In
event, it may only be $150 for a
right.
ticket to get in the door, but it's $700 for a flight, $700 for a hotel, right?
If you do a rental car,
Split up the rental car, right? So like that's what I mean. Like you might be approaching 2 grand to go to the waste management, but for me, it's way more palatable to deal with 2 grand to the waste management because I have to fly across the country than it is 2 grand to somewhere I can literally get hop on a boat and be there in 45 minutes.
in dude, people have said the same. Like I've talked to people who've been to Super Bowls, like, and people seem split. Like there is no experience like your team going and winning, but that's
Yeah.
only a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
If your team's in it and you're
Right.
going, it's only a 50-50 shot that they win. Sometimes
Right.
less, depending on, if you want to bring gambling lines into that.
Right.
So some people say, well, I'd rather not go if my team's in it because it's too stressful and then you go all the way there and you do all that money and they lose. But I'm like, I've got no interest in seeing Chiefs Lions in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
which I don't even know where it is, doesn't matter.
I don't either.
And everything just becomes this like giant
Is it
production.
Vegas?
Wasn't it
Super Bowl
just
in
in
Vegas
Vegas? I
this
don't
year?
even know, dude. I don't even know. Doesn't matter.
Or
But
San
yeah, like
Francisco is, or I see it's Santa Clara.
couldn't even tell you, dude. But if you even just compare it to the Masters, like buying stuff secondhand, you know, the Masters like secondary tickets are like 2 grand a piece.
Yeah.
So thus 750 really isn't that bad.
Right.
And then there
But
will be
again,
people
it's
who
like you
pay.
said too, it's the cool event, but it's not the coolest
No,
event in the same sport.
no.
So if someone was like, "Oh, we can go to Augusta, but it's $2,000 a ticket," I'd be like, "Well, I guess I'm spending $2,000 on a ticket to go to
If
Augusta, right?"
if
But
you
like, I
said
won't spend 750 to go to the Ryder Cup.
if you said is so if someone put a gun to my head, if they said if you don't answer, I'll stand here all day. So I can't say so you can't just not answer me.
Right.
You have to. What do you want? Would you pay 500 to go to the Ryder Cup at Bethpage, or would you pay 5 grand to go to the Masters? I would pay the 5 grand to go to the
I
Masters.
would too. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, like, for me, it really wasn't about the seven. I mean, the 750, that's just like ice. That's like confirmation that like I wasn't doing this. But like, dude, even when you texted me a while ago, like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Especially Bethpage, I'd rather play it.
Right. Agreed. Yeah,
Because
I
because
would play it.
because let's say staying over and going to the event is $2,000 a person.
You can
You and
probably
I,
go there, stay.
you and
We
I
can
could
call up Ian
fucking
McMillan.
we could probably so we could get our greens fees. We could drive down, so gas greens fees, stay, eat, drink, like include it all.
Yeah.
And if we spent all of the 2 grand, we probably were bribing some people to get a better tea time or to get one.
Yeah.
And we're probably staying somewhere fairly fucking good.
Yeah.
Not maybe not Manhattan, maybe not, but like
Right.
somewhere probably pretty fucking nice.
Yeah.
And we probably had cash left over to pay like a private driver. Like, hey, we're going back to the city. Can you fucking be here? It's like, oh, well, you got to pay me for the whole time. Yeah, I don't fucking care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how you spend 2 grand to play there.
Yeah. Like, you got to work to
Because
do
what is
that.
it? Like $250 for a
If
tea
that,
time?
if
Yeah.
that, maybe because we're out of state. It's
Yeah.
not going to be more than that.
I guess it also depends on what time of year you go to. They probably have
Right.
a peak season.
Yeah, I would say 250 is probably peak season
Yeah.
out of
From May
state.
to September.
Yep. Peak season out of state, I would say, is probably 250. Because a
Yeah.
few years ago, it was only like 165.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like you said, you can get a tea time, drive down, hop on the ferry, stay, eat, do whatever, and you're looking at probably less than 750 bucks.
Yes.
Or maybe right around 750 bucks. Who
And
knows?
that's the thing is like if it's a course, because I'm only interested with courses that I don't have access to.
True.
So like
That's a
same
good
thing.
point.
Actually, so inverse situation, would you rather pay 750 bucks to play Pebble or would you rather pay 150 bucks to spectate Pebble?
Yeah, I'd pay the 750 to play it.
I would pay the 750 to play there
Right.
because there is no option that you didn't have to. And I know what some people will say. Some people will just work with my fucking hypothetical. Some people like, well, you got to stay in a hotel. It's $1,000 a night. Yeah, I fucking get it. I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Been there once. But um, 100%, like it still requires a flight. It still requires a stay.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I would spend the more money to play there. I
Right.
think playing a golf course is a way better experience than just seeing it and only
Right.
seeing it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's me. That is me. I'm structured that way. I understand that yes, I am a a low single digit handicap. So some people will be like, listen, Pinehurst sounds awesome. I don't want to put myself through that and shoot 135. I'm like, yes, if you don't want to shoot 135 and you're fairly certain that that's what's going to happen, then disagree with me, please. Like,
Right. Right.
'cause I'll tell you right now, shooting 120 around Pebble and burying balls into the ocean. Now, again, that does still sounds fucking better than not,
Yeah. Yeah.
but paying 750 to do so, okay, I'll listen to that argument.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I would listen to that argument, but I would still do
Correct.
it. I would still do it. I wouldn't care.
That's the
I could
thing
go
is
out and
like not for
shoot
nothing.
a
So like
130 and
if
it'd
we
be like, don't care.
played,
I played Pebble
so if you
Beach.
played the tees that I played, you wouldn't shoot 130 burying balls back and forth into the ocean. You might shoot over 100, but like
Yeah.
I would put your plus or minus at 100 and a half
I
because
mean,
I would
that's,
think
yeah,
you're
that's
either
in
going
the
to
realm
break
of
it or you're not.
possibility anyway.
Right. And it's like the only thing with that is we would be playing like 6,500. Again, those are the tees I played. That was like 6,500 yards and
Yeah.
the greens are just small. So you're going to have to hit some chips and bunker shots and they're challenging shots. But you're
Right.
probably not going to lose too many balls off the tee if you don't play like a donkey.
Right. Right.
Like when you see a big giant cliff to the right, aim left.
Yeah. So I looked it up and the Super Bowl this year is in New Orleans. So all the shit
I
that we
love New
just talked,
Orleans. I love New
that so
Orleans.
New Orleans would be the one place where it would be fun to go for the Super Bowl and not attend the Super Bowl.
So I almost wonder under that logic though, if you just go to Mardi Gras.
No, different, it's a different crowd.
Okay.
Mardi Gras is going to be like
Okay.
college kids, you know what I mean? Creepy guys, right? Like it's weird. It's
Uh,
Mardi Gras is a different scene. The Super Bowl is going to be drunk assholes and rich
yeah,
people
it's gonna be kind of this
because you got to
like
spend
so
ten
that
thousand
I'm just
dollars
gonna
for
say
a
that Venn
ticket.
diagram is going to overlap a lot more than you may think.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Um,
Because it's also at the same time of year.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, the Super Bowl in New Orleans happens during Mardi Gras, so they are the same thing.
right, right.
Ah, boy, we're almost due. I'm almost due for another trip back. It's almost been
Because
2 years.
I don't think there's another city that they played the Super Bowl in that's like a draw in and of itself.
No, because
Like,
they're all southern cities, and you need to be in
because
for a certain
they don't play
vibe.
the Super Bowl in Nashville,
They
right?
do
Like
not.
you could make the
They
argument
will
that
once
when they
that new
build a new
stadium goes in.
stadium. Yeah, yeah.
So you got to think. So West Coast, you have LA, Vegas, Arizona, San Francisco. Did I miss anybody? No, I think that's it.
Seattle.
Seattle doesn't get Super Bowls. Um, so those four places, like Scottsdale's a golf destination for me. And actually,
Yeah.
it's not even in Scottsdale; it's in
Glendale.
Glendale.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Right.
So yeah, I got no interest in Glendale. I got no interest in LA or Santa Clara. I've driven through Santa Clara. It's not San Francisco, and
Yeah.
it's on the way to San Jose. Like
Right.
fucking it's like Silicon Valley, basically.
Yeah. It's like 45 minutes south of the city.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
Foxborough. It's like the
you
Gillette
know
being
what
in
though? I think it's
Foxborough, and
further
if they
because
say like, oh, it's like the Boston team.
I don't want to,
Like,
because the
no.
airport is in southern San Francisco, like away from the bridge and away from Oakland and all that.
Right.
And I want to say it was still like 35 minutes from the airport.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like from like the real Bay, like I know it's the Bay Area, but like where the Bay actually is, it might be every bit of fucking 45 minutes highway.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, none of those destinations, no interest.
Yeah.
Indy, no interest.
No. Dallas. No.
Dallas,
That's not a draw
uh,
city.
the
Dallas is a
only, the only,
convention city. Dallas and Houston are big convention cities.
yeah, so Dallas and Houston, they get Super Bowls. Dallas, I'm only interested in Dallas because they host events.
Right.
So I have
Right.
no interest in Dallas itself.
Right. The city of Dallas isn't a draw. It's the all the stuff that
It's what they
happens in
have. It's
Dallas.
what Dallas
Like
is hosting.
the Cotton Bowl, the Super Bowl, the you know what I mean? Like all
Right.
those.
Um, Houston, I have no interest. I mean, I would eat their food, but like again, I'm not
Yeah.
going there to eat their
I've
food.
I've been to Houston.
Yeah, I know
It's
you love
another
it.
it's a convention city again. I think Houston, Orlando, and Vegas. Or Jacksonville? No, it is Orlando.
Orlando's a big convention city.
Houston, Orlando, and Vegas are the three biggest convention cities. And I think Indianapolis is up there too.
Indy's up there. New Orleans is sneaky. There's a lot of conferences in New Orleans too. It's
Yeah.
obviously outside the French Quarter, and it's cheap as hell to go there in the summer. So
Right.
pay attention to when is it the NSCA one, the one that's in like July? It's in New Orleans a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I guess Atlanta.
no,
I have no interest in going to Atlanta, but I
Atlanta's
feel
not a nice
like
place, dude.
but I mean, as far as like the city that's a draw, like the Super Bowl city that has to be a draw without the Super Bowl, people, not me and you, but people are like, oh yeah, no, let's go to Atlanta. Like it's not as big of
Ew.
a draw as New Orleans.
So the one that we haven't gotten to quite yet is Miami. But Miami is a
Oh shit, yeah, that's right.
very particular vibe. Like
Yeah, Miami is
cocaine and
that's fun.
clubs and
Yeah, it's all
that's Miami. So if
yeah, it's
you are
party
not in for
central.
that, I was actually talking to a kid. One of his friends opted to go to Providence over Miami, and he has another friend at Miami. I go, who opts for Providence over Miami? He goes, this is what I've been told by like a couple people. He goes, Miami is a vibe. It's like, again, cocaine and clubs, everything's
Right.
expensive. Coral Gables is actually far outside Miami. So you gotta like fucking take a long ride anyway. Like he's like, it's not as cool as everyone makes it seem. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so Miami's a spot. Tampa doesn't get too many. But Tampa, Tampa's a weird place, dude.
Tampa's like all old people and rich people.
Well, you
It's
forgot about
not
the
like a
crackheads and the homeless. That's what I mean. Like Tampa's
yeah.
odd, dude.
Yeah,
Like
Tampa's a weird place.
Tampa has some really cool things about it. Like Ybor City, I think would be really cool. Um, the little
And then
Cuban thing that they
Jacksonville,
got.
you can just fuck right off.
Oh, fuck
Like Jacksonville
Jacksonville.
sucks. That place sucks. Jacksonville
Um,
Beach is nice, but the actual downtown city in Jacksonville is terrible.
yeah, so I mean, that's kind of what we're working with here. Like,
Yeah. Charlotte doesn't get Super Bowls, right?
no,
No.
fuck that. You think that airport could handle that?
Oh God. No way.
Not a chance.
Minnesota got the one.
Oh, Minnesota, yeah,
It was,
Minnesota got the one.
but that was right after they opened the new stadium. I
Yeah, I
mean,
feel like we're
New
probably
York got the
missing a
one right
couple.
after
Yeah, they got the
MetLife.
one. That was that. They're never doing that
They're
again.
never doing an open air winter fucking
No.
Super Bowl ever again.
Yeah, I don't know if we're missing one of the domes, but regardless,
Yeah, Detroit's not going to get a Super Bowl.
I doubt it. I really they've had one in the past, like the old Silver Dome, I think had one.
Yeah.
Um, College football national championship, probably mix that in with that top tier. Because I was just thinking about that because they'll have they're the same thing. Same cities basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd rather go back to New Orleans just in like just me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Just to
need the
go.
event.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need a reason to go to New Orleans
I'd
other
actually
than
I'd
I
actually
want
prefer I
to.
don't.
Yeah.
Although I did look into the New Orleans Bourbon Festival again.
Oh,
That thing's, you know what though? It's gotten kind of expensive and kind of fucking stupid.
yeah. I would imagine probably.
It's like I'm not going to seminars, dude. Like I'm never making bourbon. Like tastings are cool, food's cool, but like, dude, I'm not going to a seminar. Like
Yeah.
I like bourbon. I don't like bourbon enough for seminars. Sorry.
Yeah. Don't talk to me about bourbon. Just give me
Give
bourbon.
me the Well, you can give me the bourbon and then talk to me about it, but I'm not sitting in a classroom
Yeah.
in New
No, not
Orleans at a
happening.
bourbon festival. That's insane.
Yeah. No, that's dumb.
We're gonna talk about the chemistry. No, we're not.
Yeah. Hey, I don't give a shit about the chemistry. When is that?
It's usually in March.
Yeah. At least it won't smell like trash or hot
Always smells like
trash. I
trash.
was gonna say, hey, it won't smell like
It
hot
always
trash.
smells like trash. We went in December and it smelled like trash.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I forgot we went in December. It was so
Yeah.
hot there that I forgot it was
Remember though,
December.
it's like it was warm. It was warm, but
Yeah,
like it wasn't like stifling. Like I wore a
right.
sweatshirt one of the days. It was raining and I wore a sweat. Like we were
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
it's fucking
forgot
down
that.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty far south.
September was hot as fuck when we went.
Oh God. I can't imagine being there in like July.
I'm telling you, man, like the strengthening it, I don't know about like the coming up or anything, but I know the NSCA has held it must be their coaches conference because isn't that the collegiate strength and conditioning thing is we get a year off at Christmas and a year off at the I'm sorry, a week off at Christmas and a week off at the 4th of July. And I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure during the 4th of fucking July they had the conference down there. And I'm like, July?
yeah,
Are you serious?
yeah.
Bunch of fucking overweight fucking strength coaches.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a lot of learning going on that weekend or that week.
No, like that's another thing too. Because like, so I will say like in the collegiate sector, there's a lot of value to just straight up networking. Like meet a person that's at this school, meet a person that's at that school. Like, hey, I'm familiar with you. Like,
Right,
because you need to bounce around.
right.
Like some of these personal trainer conferences, like, oh, we're gonna set up a networking cocktail hour. Why? We're not gonna fucking get along with each other.
We're gonna talk about lead conversion.
Fuck that. Um, so yeah, I mean the social aspect, like that's all that is.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Right, because you're not gonna be
I mean, they host things so that it's not. like so that's the thing is like on the surface it's like, oh yeah, this is educational, blah, 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 whatever. It's like, dude, this is like the strength coach party. Like this is what they're why the fuck would it be why the fuck else would it be in New Orleans and Vegas?
Right. And Orlando,
In
I think, is the other
Orlando.
spot they go to. I
Yeah,
think
they
they
just rotate
rotate
through the
between
three.
those. Yeah.
Why the fuck would it be there otherwise? No one goes to fucking Louisiana in July.
Yeah.
People in Louisiana, if they could fucking get out, they would. It's like the Italians up fucking in the cities. Like in August, they fucking leave. So
Yeah.
like all the American tourists come into Rome in fucking August, and all the fucking locals go to the perimeters.
I don't remember. I don't remember when I went to Shreveport, but I think it was the spring.
Probably nice and cold.
I think it was like May. It was hot for university nationals. Um, yeah, that was hot. That was also because it's over on the Texas border. It's like northwest Louisiana. Um, that was the one time where we all flew down and we were walking around. I think it was me, Bill, and Derek. We were, oh no, no, that was a different time. That was when we were in Houston. Never mind. When we went to Houston, me, Bill, and Derek went for Worlds, and we were leaving the hotel, like about to walk out, and the concierge at the front desk was like, "Hey, where y'all going?" We're like, "Oh, we're just gonna take a walk over to like the store." And they were like, "Well, don't you know there's a storm coming?" And we were like, "Okay, it's just gonna rain." And the person at the front desk was like, "No, no, no, no. Like you aren't from around here, are you? Like y'all ain't from around here, huh? Like we got a bad thunderstorm, like Texas thunderstorm." We were like, "Yeah, yeah, we get it. Everything's bigger in Texas." So we like walked to the gas station. We got back. It started raining. We were like, oh, big, big, tough storm." And by the time we got back up to the room, like we looked out the window and it was like absolutely fucking downpouring and like hail. The wind was coming sideways. We were like, holy shit. We just missed this by like 10 minutes. And we were like, yeah, I guess it does storm different in Texas.
Yep, sure does.
Shout out to Houston. No, Shreveport was the first time I ever saw houses that were boarded up.
Generational poverty, as we've discussed
Yeah,
before.
yeah, generational poverty. That was quite something. Because that was the first time I had really traveled too. I think that was my sophomore year in college. It was the first time I qualified for university nationals. Because then the next year was in Johnson City in
Oh,
Tennessee.
dude, they're going to New Orleans in January. I can't believe that. The
Oh wow.
NSCA coaches conference. I can't believe it's not in July.
What are they doing that for?
Don't they?
They don't have any
They
time
must have
off.
just
How
they must have just fucking upped the price like crazy.
how are they possibly going to get the time off?
Yeah, I don't know.
What are their programs going to do without them for a week in January?
It's like 3 days.
Yeah.
It's probably over winter break.
Yeah, probably.
It is. It 100% is.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, winter break is through Martin Luther King Day. So if it's before January
Yeah,
15th,
it's 8 to 10.
yeah, yeah, it's term break. Uh, all right. Well, you want to wrap this up?
We can wrap this up.
It's about that time.
In Rome, the airport,
When in Rome.
Fiumicino, whatever the fuck. Oh, sorry. Disclaimer: I've been to Italy once. Um, the airport in Rome has an indoor smoking section. So it's a big glass box with like vents that just rip.
It's a smoke box.
So I'm walking by it and I'm like, people in the box. I'm like, oh, they're smoking. I'm like, oh my God, it's like a vented area. And then all of a sudden there's like 7 people in there smoking and vaping and whatever. And I'm like, that's a little uncomfortable. Like it's not that big of a like they weren't like on an elevator, but like a little cramped in there. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's funny. It's just like one of those things like the US, like we're so concerned about shit that just doesn't fucking matter. Like I know I probably mentioned the recycling, like didn't find anything. Like smoke outside, smoke by the entrances, smoke at the restaurant, dogs at the restaurant. Like we're so like US, we're so concerned about this shit.
Right.
Yet the Europeans are healthier than us, like generally by attitude, and
Yeah.
they have indoor smoking sections in their airport.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of my final thoughts, or maybe just a talking point in one of the next episodes, is going to be about why the country is fucked and why like organizations and things like that just ruin everything. But I'll get into that way more in depth in another episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna
We don't have
bring
the
that,
time.
just like come prepared because if we're just gonna
Yeah.
be like organizations are stupid and so is this country, it's like
No, no,
we need a little more than that.
it has to do with my new job and like seeing all of the different regulations and things that are in place for like, oh, well, we have to meet this standard for this thing, like the ADA, like we need to do this. And well, we can't have that because we have to have this thing, and this doesn't meet code. And this code is important because of that. And it's like, why do we need all these different organizations to come up with different code? So again, I'll get into that in a different time, but I'm starting to see more and more that everything just gets
I also
fucked
have
up
the
by
answer. I have the answer to your question.
yeah. um, but that is hilarious. They just have a smoking box,
Yeah, it's a literal fucking glass cage with, and I mean these vents are, I mean they are ripping like,
a glass case of emotion, if you will.
but a glass case of fucking fishbowl, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because I again like it's because it's an automatic door that opens when someone wants to come in, and like it opening, you just hear like, whoa. I'm like, fucking A, dude. That's like it sounds like the jet
Yeah. Yeah.
is the thing that's pulling the fucking smoke out of there.
They have a decommissioned jet engine in the back
They
pumping
might
that vent.
like. It's funny though. But then
That's
obviously
awesome.
too, you can tell like they're smokers, so they're all just like sitting there talking to each other about God knows what, like
Oh yeah.
normal. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's 7 people and there's probably 4 fucking languages in there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, here we're like, oh no, you have to be 25 feet away from the front door.
Ah, smoke free campus. Like it's all
Yeah.
types of shit like that. Like
Yeah. That's why Europe is better.
eh, it's one of those things like people want to go to this country once, come back and like, oh my God, like why don't we be like more like Europe? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, one, we can't handle that.
Right.
Two,
But then you
Europe isn't one
realize,
sole entity. Europe is many places.
yeah, then you also realize there's certain things that like
They're not great about Europe.
they're not great, right? Like you literally
Like the French
cannot just
government.
say whatever you want. Like there are repercussions for certain things for what you say.
And as far as like, with the United States probably going too far with like the DEI stuff, certain places in Europe, even though they seem harmless and whatever, racism is full fucking blown in
Oh
more
yeah.
places than you'd probably think.
Yeah.
And like
Well, that's the
when
thing.
they do racism, boy, do they make it fucking count. Like,
So
holy
that's the
shit,
thing
the
about
stuff coming
Europe.
from them is fucking nuts.
Racism, I don't want to say it was invented in Europe because it wasn't. It was probably invented in China somewhere. Because China has been around for a lot longer. But like they certainly did a good job perfecting it. But they,
England, looking at you.
yeah, Europe has always been white, right?
Yeah.
They're literally their entire history, they've always been white. The United States has been a place where, to use the stupid fucking term they call
Go
it,
ahead,
oh, it's a
say it.
melting pot.
Say it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. But the United States has always been a blend of all different countries. Sure, we started out as white Europeans. Yeah, I get that. But the white Europeans came over and they met Native Americans, right, who were here, who were brown, right? Um, Obviously, black people were brought over in the slave trade. But even more since then, right? In just the 20th century, people emigrate to this country, right? All the time. You get people from South America, people from Asia, right? Like people just come here to live. Europe's still predominantly white, right?
Yep.
Like I know technically by demographic standards, the United States is predominantly white. Yes, so yeah, that statement is true. But I think the US is predominantly white by like, maybe 60%, 60 to 70%. Europe is like 90% white. So, I mean,
We
a
don't do
place
everything
like
well.
that, yeah, a place like that, you're gonna have some pretty legit racism.
Oh yeah, they. And that's
Because
not
I
even
mean, not
Italy,
even
because
by
I was in the cities. It's all tourists anyway, so like I didn't get like really into like the locals. It's just like
not even by their own fault, but just by design, right? Like someone growing up in the I don't know what you would call it, the suburbs, the farmlands, whatever it is of Gloucestershire, England, right? Gloucestershire, right? Like southwestern part of England, like bordering Wales, right? Like there's a solid chance that like if you grew up in outside of Gloucestershire or Gloucestershire County, you might have never seen a black person in your entire life. Like it's a very real possibility.
hmm?
Doesn't really happen in a lot of places in the United States. And not only just a black person, a
Iceland.
person that's not white European, right? So like include Asian and Spanish and all that. Like there's a very
How about an
solid chance.
Icelandic person that doesn't have blonde hair and blue eyes?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So again, it's not even like really anyone's fault. It's just by geographics, right? Like it just is what it is. Like you can live for 87 years in Wales, right? In a little countryside in Wales and never meet someone that's not white, a white European. So, what's my final thought? Um, so we've done this before, right? And I texted this to everyone earlier. So we've done the whole Mount Rushmore of drummers, right? We've talked about it. We had Jones on. We've all given
Oh, you said
opinion.
drummers?
Oh no, sorry, guitars. Yeah, I'm
Okay, I was gonna
sorry.
say
I
because.
wrote, yeah, I said drummers. I meant guitarists.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I was say because
did we
I
do
misinterpreted
drummers? No, we did guitars, right?
probably guitars.
Yeah. So I was listening to a podcast today with Jelly Roll, who was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he made a really interesting point that um, Gary, shit, what's his last name? I'm blanking on his last name. Gary Rossington, who was the lead guitarist for Leonard Skinner. Um, Also, I think the only one that survived the plane crash, actually. I think everyone else died in the original band. And Gary Rossington survived. But Jelly Roll made the comment that Leonard Skinnard is the one band that has the most known guitar riffs more than any other band. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the statistics right in front of me, but I mean, that sounds accurate, right? So like his argument was that Gary Rossington belongs in the discussion as one of the greatest. And he goes, he's not better than Hendrix, right? He's not necessarily better than Clapton, but like what he did from the creative side and then also to produce it, right? He goes, it's unbelievable, right? Because if you're listening to the opening riff of Sweet Home Alabama, that might be the most well recognized guitar riff ever, right? It's certainly up there. It's top three, right? Like Iron Man is probably another one. But that's also not a guitar riff necessarily. That's like a synthesizer. right? It's like a
I
single
don't,
chord played,
I don't
strung
believe
out.
that's factual. Well, it's a single note that gets bent,
Yeah, yeah,
and then it is a guitar riff.
yeah. Yeah,
It
that
is
is true
guitar
afterwards.
intro.
Afterwards. Yeah, that's true. Because
Crazy
I was
Train.
thinking the original when he said Iron Man,
Yeah,
but
I
then
mean,
afterwards it is the riff.
I'm thinking Crazy Train, Iron Man to an extent, Smoke on the Water. But Smoke on the Water baseline might be a baseline. Um, no, not a baseline.
So what he said too was obviously Sweet Home Alabama is a top three most recognizable, but then you also have um Give Me Three Steps, right? And then Freebird. And he made the argument that the solo in Freebird is like absolutely asinine, which it goes on for like fucking 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just insane. Um, but there was another one too that I'm blanking on. He listed off like four songs.
Well, Simple Man, Tuesday's
Simple
Gone.
Man, Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday's Gone. That's the one.
Like they've got like there's probably six songs that I would give you are like pretty memorable. Because
Right,
not like just good or not just like catchy or not just unique, like fairly memorable. Again, like Tuesday's Gone, probably not so much.
right.
Um,
But it's one of those when you hear the riff, you know, oh, it's Leonard Skinner. This is Tuesday's
yeah,
Gone. Like you immediately know the song.
yeah, I'd probably say there's three or four that if we're gonna talk about like really like iconic, it's probably Freebird, Sweet Home Alabama, and Simple Man, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
If I'm
he
talking
said,
like
give me three steps," and like I knew
yeah,
that song
yeah, okay.
immediately.
So hey, that
But I'm
song,
also a fan of
I
Leonard
didn't even
Skinner.
know that song existed until like 6 years ago. And frankly, I don't think it's very good. Um, but yeah, I mean, if it's gonna go up against, because if we're talking guitar riffs, and this is just unfortunately, this is the nature of it. They've got to go up against the stadium rock songs. So your Guns N' Roses, your AC/DC, because your Crazy Train, like the unfortunate truth is, if we're talking about like iconic riffs, iconic also has to this it's gonna be good, but it's also gonna be popular.
Yeah, but no, his point was the volume. There were more numbers, right? So yes, is you know, Freebird or any of those, Simple Man, any of those the greatest of all time? No, but that's not the argument. The argument it is the most number of iconic guitar riffs. And that's why I also included Gimme Three Steps and
Yeah,
all
okay.
those.
So
So
I
it's the
I disagree.
number of them.
Yeah, so I do disagree on the number that he is proposing. Because because the other thing too is like it's what do you think of too in a sense. And Tuesday's Gone, I just think of Happy Gilmore. Like Give Me Three Steps Again. I didn't even know that was a Leonard Skinner song for a long time. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then
Yeah.
like I had to see, I'm like, oh, ew, this is I go, this is not good. Um, so I don't know, and then it just depends because if someone wants to go to bat for Leonard Skinner, which was the 70s, first of all, this answer should be fucking Led Zeppelin because
Well, yeah, I mean,
like if we're talking
between
like between volume, quality,
Kashmir, Dire Maker,
and as
uh
little as anyone wants from it,
Black
Stairway to
Black
Heaven,
Dog,
like
right? Like some of like the yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
actually a
he
fantastic point.
so whoever this gentleman is seems to just be trying to find something that has already been answered very simply.
Yeah,
The answer is Led Zeppelin.
right.
And then I would even argue AC/DC has more volume than Leonard Skinner.
Um, yeah, but which ones, right? Because I mean, I
So you have Thunderstruck, Hell's
obviously
Bells.
Thunderstruck. Well, Hell's Bells again. Yeah, there is a guitar at some point, but like when you say Hell's Bells, like I think of the bells ringing at the beginning. Like I right now, I couldn't hum you the guitar riff for Hell's Bells. Like I don't know what
Oh,
it
I
is.
certainly could. Um, where am I? Okay.
Like I know, obviously, I know Thunderstruck. I know
Thunderstruck,
For
Highway
Those
to
About to
Hell,
Rock, Highway to
Highway to
Hell.
Hell, Back in Black. You shook me
Okay,
all
Back
night
in Black. That's
long.
a good one.
Um, Dirty Deeds. Nope.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff repeats. What did I miss? TNT. Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is like I
Yeah, I mean
would
TNT though, the opening is like it's a vocal thing, right? Because he just keeps like
no, it's a guitar riff. All of these open with so this is the thing with AC/DC. Like it's all Angus Young. Like that's all they were in the fucking first singer that died or whatever.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, because haven't they gone through like seven different
I don't
iterations of
even know.
AC/DC?
I don't
They're
even know.
basically like Leonard Skinner.
I try not to listen to
There's been like a
much
million
AC/DC
different
these
people that have
days.
been in that band.
But yeah, I'm thinking like because like intro guitar riffs where you're gonna like either instantly pull out who it is or what song it is because that's a little bit more difficult. But like,
Well, yeah, like I'll know it's TNT, but I feel like the beginning is just him being like, ha, ha, like while there's music in the back. You know what I
well,
mean? Like
that
that's not
that
the iconic
that's
part.
Thunderstruck.
No, the beginning of TNT, they do that, isn't
Do
it?
they? I don't know. That might
Pretty
be the end
sure.
of TNT.
Or maybe it's the end.
I think it's the end. Like when you were running out of time in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah, are they even on Spotify? Wasn't that a thing that like AC/DC wasn't on
Oh,
Spotify?
I don't know. Fuck AC/DC. But like in this sense, it's like I think they have a more volume than Leonard Skinner.
Trying to see if
And
I
if
can.
anyone listened to fucking Pantera enough, it would be Pantera because their riffs are fucking sick to start out.
Yeah. All right. Before we get kicked off YouTube, I'll just talk through it. Can you hear this?
No, I can't hear a thing.
All right, give it a minute. You know that?
Is any what the fuck are you playing besides nothing?
Working it out. That's
I'm just gonna handle
oi.
this myself.
Could you not hear that? That was
No,
so
I can't
loud for
hear
my phone.
anything. What were you doing? TNT or Thunderstruck? Which one?
TNT. The
TNT.
beginning of TNT. He's like, oi, oi.
Yeah, but doesn't
That's what
he?
I think of with the song.
Oh, come on. Why is there an 18-second fucking ad? Like I couldn't get the 5-second ad where I can like skip it. It's like, great, we're doing fucking swim aerobics.
Did you get it?
Yeah. Okay. So fine, but that intro is nothing without no, because I hear what you're saying. That intro is nothing without the guitar riff, though. Like you can't
Right, but
just.
like I don't think of it. I don't think of the opening of TNT as the guitar riff. I think of it as the
Oh,
guy
I do.
saying oi.
I
Like
actually
if you
forgot that
took
the
that
guy said
out,
"oi" the whole
if you
time.
took that out and just played the riff, I don't know if I would know it was TNT.
I would have nailed it.
I mean, I probably would, but still.
Absolutely nailed it.
You know who's probably screaming
Jones.
at the radio in his car right now listening to this is Sexy Chris.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a big guitar guy, big music guy.
Yeah.
He's probably like, you guys are so fucking stupid.
Well, that's the thing is though, I also don't feel like going through my head to figure out because obviously this is very subjective because it's like what do you like, what do you don't like, what era did you listen
True.
to?
Yeah, that is
Because you
that,
could even
I mean,
like
that's music in general,
someone
right?
could come
Like
at you
it's
with Pearl Jam and there would
yeah,
be a really fucking strong argument for that.
right.
And then never mind like Soundgarden. Like if you want to say it's like, oh, you hear a riff and you know it's Soundgarden or you know what band it came from.
Yeah,
That is the fucking definition, but they were the late 80s, 90s.
right.
So it's like people will poo-poo that. And then it's like I could say the same stuff about Pantera, but no one's listened to Pantera's catalog enough.
Right. Yeah, I mean I think the base of his argument was that Gary Rossington just needs to be in the discussion.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
he's
just don't.
below
It's below a lot of
Hendrix
people.
and Clapton and
Jimmy Page.
Brian May and Page, but
I mean, I think you gotta. Again, this is where it's like I would almost say like you probably got to put him below Slash too. I don't think he's better than because then now we're talking a different thing, right? Because now we're talking about like quality of the guitar and not necessarily like memorability or authenticity of the riffs, and it's like that's a different thing altogether,
right,
and that's why
right.
it's
It's
a
hard.
hard
I mean,
debate to
anytime you
have.
talk music and like it's tough because like you said,
Yeah,
everyone it's so subjective. People have different beliefs, right? Like
right.
we've talked to Sexy Chris about this before in the past, right? Like I'm not a Beatles fan. I don't I don't like the Beatles, but I can sit here and tell you that I recognize that they are extremely important in music history. And I can appreciate that other people love the Beatles, right? They're just not for me. Like they just don't do it for me. And that's totally fine, right? Like there's music that I like that some people don't like, and that's okay, right? Like there's music that you like that I'm like, it's not really for me, right? Like, and vice versa, right? It's just music is subjective,
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you can make whatever argument you want, and it's always like cherry picking to an extent, and then I can just cherry pick right back,
right?
which is why I tried to use AC/DC because I fucking hate them. Same with the fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers, but again, that argument's there too.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh, Flea.
yes, slap the bass. Um, so yeah, it's just like, hey, and at the end of the day, our man, too old. He ain't making it up any fucking lists.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of interesting though,
Alex
like those.
Lifeson. He should be in the discussion too. He's the guitarist for Rush. This is one of those things. I love Rush. So like
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna
Geddy
sit here
Lee
and tell
gets
you
all the
that
fucking love from
yeah,
that.
Geddy Lee gets all the love because he's the vocals. But like the
Neil
guitar
Peart.
play, yeah, Neil Peart, he's great.
Geddy Lee also slapped the bass, or am I misremembering that?
No, I think Geddy Lee slaps a little bit of bass. Yeah, he does. Lead vocalist,
Yeah,
bassist, and
because I was gonna say I
keyboardist.
thought it was just three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's put a bow on this. I gotta run.
All right. That's gonna do it. So thanks for watching. Hit subscribe up above on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy. Leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes below. Support the sponsors, support us. And until next time, good night, everybody.